Greetings, all divine beings. It is Witchy Poo coming back to you with another podcast. If you're feeling kind, please subscribe. We are getting into a little sensitive subject that could ruffle a lot of feathers, but I think the conversation is much better, right? Uh, Black women and the word competition. And I know, like I said, that people don't want to have the tough conversations when it comes to how people truly feel about one another, even if someone that inspires or you admire, right? Because when it comes to really wanting to show feelings amongst the Black community in general, it's a little difficult to kind of get down to the nitty gritty. But it's also even more difficult between Black women in general and as a community. And so the bigger picture when it comes to the whole thing of competition, we all should be in competition, but it should be with ourselves in a sense, because every day we wake up, we have to be better than the next. And I know that that's really corny and that sounds really bland, but the corniest things in life are usually the correct ones. Hello, friend. Right? You'll never see Steve Jobs walking around with the big old jewels and chains like we are. When he was here. My apologies, no disrespect, but you get where I'm going with the drift. And it's really hard because the bigger picture is jealousy enjoys destroying other boundaries. And when it comes to a beautiful person, a beautiful spirit, or someone who just generally looks, appears, and seemingly seems to be happy, that bothers people in their spirit, their energy, and they start to wonder, well, what's the problem? Not with themselves, but with that person. And then you in turn, or the other people in turn, not to say you, my poos, but the viewer, or someone you know could in turn have this rough chip on their shoulder over a different person. And when I say different, that is in general. You have exotic women, you have mixed women who are half Black and half white. You have a lot of different indigenous tribes that we don't even know anything about. But when it comes to the beauty of a person, we as a Black community tend to get jealous of it. And sometimes instead of thinking that jealousy is the root of all evil, maybe it should start with the realization on where the trouble started in the first place. And if women had problems with their aunts and had problems with their mothers, that's usually where it stems from, with the confidence being shooken. And confidence in women, Black women, we really and truly need, because we are beaten down with the burden that we're strong to handle and hold everything. Hello. Maybe or maybe not. You may get it, and then again, so what? But when it comes to the fact that you look up to an individual and want to draw negative, it doesn't matter if you're a woman or not, just in general. That stems from something that is more troubling you're not willing to face. And people who aren't willing to face their insecurities or not willing to face what's truly bothering them when they see a genuine spirit, you can't get through them, and you probably never will. But then again, a lot of these things come from mental unawareness that a lot of people deal with. Okay, everybody thinks they're sane, everybody thinks they don't have any problems, and everybody's perfect these days, right? But when it comes to the jealousy in a woman, the jealousy in the Black community between us amongst ourselves as a unit, as one, as we should be, that was a big mouthful. It's something that I feel really gets distracted because we always look at the next person from what they have or what they got. But really, it's all about what you should be doing and what you should not. Because jealousy and confidence really have a connection that we don't want to realize. Well, it's simply because if you've been rejected before, then you automatically feel you have to tear another person down that seems more confident, right? Whether you do it in secret or private, you're doing it. But when it really should be boiled down to is that seeing another woman's confidence doesn't necessarily have to shake yours. It should push and drive the Black women collectively to want to work together. And when wanting to work together, that creates not only more understanding and conversations, but it could lead to different outlets for people to have a better connection. Not everybody agrees with the things that are plain and simple and easily seen, but not really appreciated in any way. And I say appreciated because we as women have a more difficult time than anybody. Anybody. Not saying the Black man doesn't get the top trophy or the ribbon, the blue ribbon, but we deal with a lot when it comes to the violation. And I think that leads me, to the final point that, some women truly enjoy the violation. Some women truly enjoy the violation of others. As to say, you see, another woman and she just appears lighter, not in skin complexion, but in a general sense of who they are as a characteristic. That will make somebody that may be suffering depression, that may have never gotten hugs from their mother or grandparents, but most of all, an aunt or a female in their family has already started something that kind of can't be foreseen. So you look at women like that, you look at everybody, right? To a certain extent of you feel some type of way about it. Instead of when you look at somebody that you admire, you don't have to hate on them. You can actually get to know them better. When you see another Black woman that's doing great, even if they don't acknowledge you, you can just show that you appreciate. And even if, when I say not acknowledge, because we get a lot of women who are very standoffish, we get a lot of Black women who have been burnt and hurt so many times that they don't want to repeat the process. But amongst the Black women of truly not appreciating who we are as an individual person, that starts with something of the mindset where you're not secure with yourself enough that you feel you can't be happy just like them, or you can't appreciate life or see things in a lighter sense, and not skin complexion, okay? But in reality, competition shouldn't be something that's looked at as a bad thing. Competition with self is always something that should be uprising. But when it comes to you looking at a person and really having ignorant, ill feelings towards them and they've done nothing to you, even if they've done nothing to you, then that's a mental issue I can't help with. And there's a lot of people who have it. But if somebody has done something to you and you feel you just can't shake it, you can't get over it, well, then you have to start with forgiveness of yourself, because why are you holding on to something of a burden from someone else, right? They did something to you, so you feel every Black female that looks like them or has this thing that you can read, and you're probably kind of off because you're using a past history with a new person. And every time we can feel that confidence doesn't have an effect, we have to come back and realize we're wrong about it. Because having confidence in oneself is more than self-love and just repeating it. You have to feel and truly understand. But if you have a hatred for yourself, if you have a hatred just for other cat around in the mix, this is something of an insecurity that should be kind of shooken off of you by now, as if you're 18, 21, 25, hitting these milestones in our lives, right? Because we have to plateau to the next level and not really stay dumbed down where we hate everybody, we hate everything. And particularly we have this huge, big horde of jealousy, okay? And I get that a lot of people were raised by their grandparents. I get a lot of people have women in their life who have spewed nothing but hateful things, and then we've held on to it. But even if we can come out of not seeing the positive side of who we are, if we can come out of wanting to be negative to things that you admire, right? If you can come out of being negative to beautiful boundaries or just a connection, then you're able to turn around the self-love in reality to get rid of something you've been hoarding for a very long time, which is good feelings of good energy. Not everybody has good intentions. Please don't take my words and twist them. That's what this world likes to do, instead of paying attention to the verbiage that comes out clear to the people. But really and truly, having more confidence in self could put competition in a better perspective, where you always want to see yourself at a higher standard, not hating or disliking the next female, right? Because what does, honestly, not getting along and being in competition with another Black woman get you? How far? You can take their quotes, you can take their lives, you can take the words and just say it verbatim and treat it like you wrote it at that time. But really, inspiration and admiration doesn't come from copying or being in competition. It comes from the true authenticity of oneself, where you realize who you are and why you've been placed on this planet. And it definitely wasn't to hate and be in competition with other Black women. I appreciate all the poos who listen to this podcast. I definitely am getting used to just focusing on the camera and making the eye contact, because it is difficult. You know, PD Weestro is at work. Hello. So I have to do this all by myself, right? So I kind of wanted to focus and do a podcast that was different, and it may ruffle some feathers, but I'm not even going to say in my opinion, because sometimes people just don't want to hear your opinion all the time. You just kind of want to just have conversations and let people chime on in. You can go back and have dialects, still disagree, and have every piece of need met. Why? Because you're learning how to be sociable, you're learning how to be secure, and you're learning how to get rid of things that despise you, but only because you're jealous over, right? And that word is such a harsh term. Jealousy is something that kind of was embedded in us before, right? Before we had control, before the Black man was took out the home, a lot of things took these stones and made them who we interact to be, who we are. I love you guys. I'm not going to ramble on another second. And just take this message before we end it. Realizing that you have a need in this world, you have skills, you have power, you have talent. If you can repeat those things to yourself every moment, if you have to, every hour, but just start with realizing that pure manifestation starts with understanding your power. And power doesn't like competition that relates back to jealousy or hate. Power relates to who you are and the things the universe wants to give you always. And the universe can definitely help you get rid of any jealous feelings that you have for other women. Just ask and it shall be given. Until next time, my poos, I hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow, Friday night, for the live. And until next time, I say Ashe. Enjoy the readings. Check out Witchy Poo merch at wattsfamilybusiness.com.